tell us a little bit about, why you're here today.
Yeah, no, today's actually pretty exciting. It's the first time I'm actually calling to other people partners, right? It's always been a solo person running a brokerage, but now I'm very excited to learn about wine, learn about running a brokerage from these two gentlemen, my new partners in the business. And I remember 12 years ago when I went to my first Century 21 Chairman's Circle in Clearwater, and I met Paul at dinner. He sat beside me, and he talked to me for 2-3 hours, teaching me how to run a brokerage, how to do technology, how to look at Korea, look at all this. And I'm like, going back to the hotel, and I'm like, is this guy BSing me? Why would he teach me his whole playbook, how to run Leading Edge? Then after all these years, I realized that you guys embrace challenges. You embrace competition. And I think to me, it was amazing. I felt that, hey, they actually looked at A-Trip back then, small little company. It's a possible competition with you guys. And no, that was my first impression of Paul. But and I met you a few years later, I think, right?
Yeah. And I had very similar, interaction with Paul when I first met him, Stephen. And I think I might have shared some of this with you. I was looking at starting a brokerage and said, hey, I want to talk to somebody who's running a successful brokerage. Head office put me together with Paul. And similar to you, he answered all my questions really openly and honestly. And I thought, okay, this guy is he's freaking me out a little bit, right? Like he's being really honest. Why is he giving me all these secrets?
Who's so honest?
Right? And, one thing led to another, and we ended up partnering together. And, but similar kind of background there where I thought, oh, why is Paul sharing all of this? But I think, Stephen, when I met you anyways, and I think a lot of it was seeing like-mindedness, right? When I look back at, people are shocked when they find out, oh, you didn't know Paul Barron before you became partners? And I said, well, no, I didn't. It's not like we were friends before. And I think that a lot of times really partnerships come from having the same mindset, the same goals, the same, this is the direction that we're going in. And, when you look at people that partner with someone just because they're their best friend, if they're not going in the same direction, it's not going to be a successful partnership, right? I always look at it as, are our ships all traveling the same direction? And I think that that's what me and you both saw with Stephen was we looked at what you were doing and thought, hey, we kind of like what this guy's doing, right? So we have a lot to learn from you as well. So it's not you just learning from us.
Yeah. I think it's interesting is that a lot of times we, in business, we say, oh, we need this, we need that. And the truth is it's the people and the knowledge that they bring. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm always, very open. Few people are going to do the things that you say anyway. Yeah. And I think that you develop those relationships. And, Tasis and I have been in business now for 15 years, along with Anthony with Leading Edge. And I think that we've never had a disagreement, an argument in 15 years. We value each other's opinion, expertise, and that we bring a different knowledge and a different set of tools to the table. And I think that's why I always take that sort of attitude. And, I think, as you said, Stephen, you were a little bit taken back when I met you. Tasis and I were introduced to each other. So it was Century 21 Canada saying, hey, we got this young buck that wants to start an office. And Paul, you tell him what you think. There was no real idea that we were gonna work together. And I think the interesting thing with you, Stephen, is that you looked at Leading Edge, and we were sort of, the number one firm in the Century 21 system back then. And you set your sights on how am I going to take and beat Century 21 Leading Edge, and I admired that. Right.
I remember the first time I made it to chairman's. No, the year prior I was number 31, but only top 30 gets to go. So I'm like, oh my God, I missed it by a little bit. So make sure I got in. I met him. I'm like, wow, this guy, he's like a juggernaut for me, right? But that was my goal, right? To catch up with you guys. Then I realized one thing: every time I get closer, they're going up at the same pace as me, right?
And I love the honesty. So one of the events that we were on in, I think, Vancouver. Stephen was speaking at one of the broker breakouts, and the person leading it said, what motivates you? And Stephen pointed at me in the crowd, and he said, what motivates me is catching up to Century 21 Leading Edge. And you said exactly that. But he goes, every time I make a move up, he goes, they also make a move up. He goes, so it's hard to get to that point, right? But I love the honesty, right?
But it's a healthy competition all these years, I think. That's how our friendship became really well, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's also interesting that when you run a brokerage, obviously on your own, and I was on my own at first, and the reality is that when you fire yourself from that job of managing and actually take on the role of running the business, when you have partners, it gives you that opportunity, right? And we can do 10 times as much as 3 as we can do individually. It's not just 3 times.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. And I know for us, we constantly reach sort of plateaus, right? Where you have these goals and you get to them and then it levels off. And I personally think that finding the right people, right, is key. And I think that when you find the right person out there, you either need to create a position for them in your company, right? Or in the case of business owners, you need to start talking to them. And I think the first time that I said this to you, you were somewhat paranoid, thinking he's got some angle, he's trying to, gain some knowledge or some market insight. And yeah, the truth is that right from the beginning, when we met, I recognized that this is a guy that I could see myself in business with. Right? And I think that is very different than meeting another company and saying, I'd like to take that company over, right? And that's not the case here at all. It is, hey, this is a guy that I like to do business with. Because, we don't know the best thing ourselves for everything, right? Yeah. And it's important to have those different ideas.
The better you get to that conclusion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So Stephen, tell me, so we had those conversations early on, and at one point because at first it was like, he's crazy, I want nothing to do with this guy. At what point did you then say, is when you met Tasis? Did you say, hey, maybe there's a future here?
I think it was actually when we met again, talked more seriously in 2021 in Palm Springs. He actually asked me, he wakes up pretty early.
Yeah.
So he asked me, have breakfast at 7 a.m. Like, 7 a.m.? Who has breakfast in Florida at 7 a.m.? So anyway, I wanted to hear what he wants to talk about. And I think that's the conversation. And obviously, we just came out from COVID. COVID was a very tough time being an individual owner. There's a lot to learn. And then that kind of changed my mindset a little bit. It's, maybe I should start exploring to have partners that we can all work together. And it got to a point that how can we grow, right? I think as a single owner, you do plateau. I have great management team, my great support staff that's been with me 10 plus years. But it gets to a point that there's only so much you can do on your own. And I know my goal. My goal was always to catch up to you, right? So, you know what? And I think that the conversation back in 2021, we started this discussion. And then this guy always calls me up for lunch. So yeah, I think that's hard to slowly change my mind to look at partnership. I think the hardest part for me was in my entire adult life career, I've never had a partner in business. Right? I was always, hey, I want to buy this, I want to spend money on this, I want to do marketing, I want to do this. But now it's like, how do I work together with partners? I think that's a great new challenge for me to learn, but I'm embracing it. So I think, that's why I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think it adds some peace of mind. I think, right? I would say with Paul, and we've had these conversations. You're like doing it on your own. It's kind of lonely, right? Like you have to. There's no one behind you. Yeah. You're just okay. I made this decision, and it's just my decision. Whereas when you have partners, it's great that you can say, am I right on this, right? And if you can convince your partners that you're right, then you're right. If you can't convince your partners that you're right, then I think you have to look at it internally and say, maybe what I'm saying doesn't make sense if I can't convince my partners of it, right? So,
Yeah, I think a lot of times people are afraid to get into a partnership because they don't have control, right?
Yeah.
I don't control where things go. And the truth is that you then need to sell those things, as you were saying, Tas. You need to convince your partners that this is the direction. But I think that equally important is to listen to your partners and listen to their perspective and how they've arrived at the things that they've arrived at. And I know that myself, I did years ago, I did this coactive coaching course. So I did about 120 hours of coactive coaching where you basically we're in a room, you get together and you're tag team coaching. And the idea is that coaching is not telling them what they should be doing, right? And as real estate managers and brokers and owners, it's sometimes frustrating. You just want to tell them what to do, right? And the truth is that if you can guide people to them making a decision, then that is really the ultimate way to get people to move forward. Because when you tell them, they don't do it, right? So I think that that's what I think is super exciting about this opportunity that we're in, is that we get to listen to each other's viewpoint and help to shape maybe a different path or a different perspective on things. So I'm super excited about it. So let's get into a little bit about what we're doing here, right? So we've obviously talked about this idea of partnering, but what is it that we're going to do, Stephen? What do you see happening with this?
I think it's a really exciting opportunity for both Atria and Leading Edge agents, right? We both have a lot of different strengths that we have. We're combining our forces. Now we're able to provide more tools, more leads, more access to our agents for everything else. I think it's great with two companies that are like-minded and moving forward. That's what else you think?
No, I agree. I think that when we started having these conversations, I thought that from a geographical standpoint, our companies made a lot of sense. We get to cover the entire GTA by doing this. And I think you bring strengths to the table that we might not have, and we bring strengths to the table that maybe you don't have. And that's what excited me about this was, look, the stuff that Stephen's doing a great job of is going to help us, and the stuff that we're doing a great job of is going to help Atria. And I think ultimately, for me, it's always about win-win, right? Like, there's no use in doing anything if you're just going to be the same. We're doing this because we want to be better. We want to be our agents to have more opportunities, and ultimately, that's the way I'm looking at this. Is it's a win-win for both companies, and it's a win-win for all of the agents.
Sure. So I also think when you look at the real estate industry, right? Obviously, there's massive amount of change in the real estate industry, and if we look at the board, the MLSs, there's so many amalgamations in the real estate industry, especially when we look down to the south, to the U.S. There's been catastrophic changes with things down there in terms of clear cooperation, in terms of commissions and how they do things down there. And I think in Canada, we've done a way better job. We're sort of usually behind in a lot of things, but we're way ahead on that. But what is also very, very true is that the companies that are making the moves, that are making headway, are usually those larger companies, right? There is strength in numbers. There's also the ability with size to be able to have it economical in order to provide the things that we need to provide, for agents to get ahead. And I think that the business really has come full circle where, I've been in the business for 40 years, right? I started as a baby, and when I started, it was a 50-50 split with a marketing fund going to the brokerage, and slowly the business has moved away from that. And I think that now the teams have taken over to a large extent in providing that level of service to agents. So a lot of agents have looked to join teams. And I really think that the brokerages that are going to really make hay in the coming years are the ones that step in and start to provide those type of team type services, to their agents. And I think that you do that in the new construction business, Stephen, and we're trying to do that in the lead gen side of things. So I think that together we're just trying to rework that and bring that back to being able to provide just a completely different level of service to agents, so that it can not be a situation where we've got a bunch of people doing a little bit, but let's really help them to be superstars, right? And
I agree. Right now, with the market being so challenging, we have to provide more opportunities for our agents to have that upper hand to go get that extra listing, how to get that extra lead out there, right? I think by combining our forces, we are about 1,400 agents combined together. We will have 11 offices throughout GTA from East End to West End, and a great management team. You guys have a great management team. Atria has a great management team. Now 2 teams are joined together. I think it's going to be a lot of brain powers that we can make Atria Leading Edge a force to reckon in GTA. Not only in GTA, I will say in Canada. Our global standings in the Century 21 family always shows that we are the top companies in the country. So it's exciting. I think that's what we're looking forward to the future for our agents, I think.
And I think size matters. In our industry, if you're not, when I'm talking to agents, they're like, well, how can you provide this, right? Because they're kind of shocked at the level of service that we provide at the cost that we provide to that. And I said, well, it's based on the fact that we benefit from the fact that we are a large brokerage, right? A smaller brokerage does not have the funds available typically to provide the additional support and services that a larger brokerage can provide, right? So there is, I think, a lot of energy to being bigger, a lot of advantage to being bigger, right? And what you can provide to your realtors.
so, Stephen, obviously, people don't like change. Realtors don't like change. So how is this going to affect your realtors, the realtors at Leading Edge, this merger?
I think both companies' agents should be open-minded. It's actually a great opportunity. The bottom line for both Leading Edge and Atria, it's like what we said earlier, is to help you generate more listings, right? As 2 companies combined, we were able to provide better technology. Technology is a game changer in our industry right now. You're seeing AI, all the coaches out there teaching AI, but AI technology is very, very expensive in our industry. But now I think combining 2 companies together, we have the power to do more stuff. At the end of the day, is what is the value for our companies can provide to our agents? That's what agents are looking for. No matter you're working as an agent or a 9-to-5 job, everybody wants a company that they can grow with, they can be steady, and be able to learn from us, right? I think the 3 of us offer different perspective of different things, right? Even the last few months by talking to you guys, we realized we have different strengths, right? And I think that's going to be something that our agents should be embracing. And I know agents going to be concerned at the beginning, oh, what's going to happen? But I think it's something that, hey, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be providing a lot more tools, just training alone. Look at the trainers that we're able to hire now for trainers. The awards presentation that we're able to do, the pre-construction side of the business where we can get actually more access to our agents. Lead gen. Lead gen is very, very important. Now, how can we boost up our lead gen for the agents? You said no matter they're individual agents or teams, I think, right?
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about the actual structure here. So do these guys need to switch companies? Is it now
nothing's changing.
Leading Edge Atria? What's going on with that?
We all know that realtors do not like change, and obviously our industry has gone through a tremendous amount of change in the last 2 years, whether it was Tressa or Realm, our MLS system, all of that, all of the level of technology, Skyslope, all of these things. I do think that agents are a little bit worn out by the level of change that the industry has seen, right? And I totally understand that. So really right now, nothing is happening other than from behind the scenes, we have additional support with the two companies being combined. But Atria is still operating as Atria right now. Leading Edge is still operating as Leading Edge right now. Nothing is going to change. You're not going to be forced to speak to a different manager or a different staff member or anything like that. We're looking at this and how do we organically find more and more advantages from the two companies combining, right? So that's really our goal right now.
Perfect. So what you're saying is that it's not going to be combined as one company.
Correct. Right now it is one parent company, and that parent company between the three of us is basically the ownership group of both Atria and Leading Edge.
I think the best way to summarize that is one ownership group, two brokerages, and one vision.
And one vision. Fantastic. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
That's in my PowerPoint.
I think we should cheers to that. That was a great one. I think Stephen had that one prepped.
That's in the presentation.
So I just want to try to get a little bit more detail on what happens tomorrow with an agent, right? And what's going to be happening, a little bit behind the scenes as to what's going to be happening. So Stephen, what do you see for your agents? What's different tomorrow?
Nothing changes. Just be prepared for the coming months. We're going to be announcing a lot of new tools and a lot of new services, new trainings. But honestly, behind the scenes, really no difference for Leading Edge or Atria agents, right? You will still be working with the same staff you've been used to. You still be talking to me as your broker of record. Paul is still the broker of record of Leading Edge. The management team from both companies are still there to help our agents, tools, technology. We do have different technologies, even on the paperless system, it's different.
Yep.
We're not saying you're switching anything, right? But just keep in mind is one thing is, as we said earlier, it's just one ownership group that now owns Leading Edge and Atria to see what's the best practice of certain tools and the ways we do business to bring forth to both companies' agents to help them close more deals. At the end of the day, what more value can we at Atria and Leading Edge provide to agents? That's the bottom line, I think, what we're looking at.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying that behind the scenes, you're going to be looking at best practices and trying to look at.
Yes, for sure, right? Like at Atria, we tried doing the lead gen. Did we do okay? Yes, we did okay. But what we're seeing from Leading Edge, you guys are doing a fantastic job. That's obviously a side that both companies want to build on and continue to provide more leads. That's the type of best practice we want to learn from each other. Efficiency, right? From the admin staff, right? I'm sure both companies have admins been with your company and my company for a long time. But what is a way that we can process deal faster, get your commission check into your pocket a little bit faster? I think that's important for all of us. Get back the checks for your client. All that, we're trying to provide a better service, and nothing changes for you. Just more service and better tools at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, I think keeping a mind on that is important, right? And when I think about how do we accomplish these synergies, right? I think that in speaking with whether it's our accounting staff or our admin staff, I think that when we bring them together and brainstorm and say, hey, okay, just like we talked about, ownership. How do you do this? Oh, wow, I didn't think of that. That might be a better way than the way I'm doing it. I think we can find some great synergies in our backroom stuff as well, whether it's, like I said, accounting or admin, where our staff can talk to one another and say, oh, okay, you guys do it this way. I didn't think of that. That actually seems better than the way that we're doing it, right? So, I think that all of that will generate smoother running companies for both of us.
Yeah, I think the other exciting part is for me to meet new agents from Leading Edge, right? There's a lot of new agents that we're going to meet. That's going to be very exciting for me, right?
The parties are going to be bigger, Steve.
The parties are going to be better, right? Bigger?
Yeah.
We have more better parties for you guys. I think that's what you guys like, right?
Yeah. So. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that we need to take things very, very slow. And I think that's important for agents to realize, is that we're going to be doing these things behind the scenes, but it's going to be a long process. And I think this is a challenge when companies do, merge or get together, is that they try to combine things immediately. And this means drastic changes. I mean, we've had lots of examples in the industry where names have changed and brands have changed and all kinds of crazy stuff there. So I think that, it's going to be a long time of analysis and understanding systems and procedures, and then using the strength of this new ownership group to look at what is the path forward. And it's also important that we're going to keep the agents informed all the way through. Yeah. So really for the next 2025, I don't really see there'll be any changes other than maybe more features, more training, more things available. But certainly there's not going to be any significant changes for agents.
I think even for our staff, a lot more opportunity for them to grow within the two companies now.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. No, not only for agents, it's a great change for our staff as well.
Yeah. And then what about growth, guys? Are we doing this because we're ready to stay at this 1,400 number or whatever the number is? Or are we...
World domination, Paul. Okay. It's as simple as that, right? Yeah. I think we all want growth, right? I think that's part of why we're doing this. We're looking at how do we best position ourselves to grow this company, right? And I think that growth is key in our industry because that seems to be the two extremes. You're either like a tiny little boutique operation, or you have to be of a grand size in order to provide all of the stuff that realtors want and need, right? So I think continuous growth is definitely my goal.
That's my goal, right? It has to be growth, right? Right now we have the number one company in Canada, number one office in the world, but how can we even get to the next level, right? Yeah. How do we get from 1,300 agents to, we talk about 5,000 agents, and we kind of joked about it. Is that crazy? I actually don't think it's crazy. Yeah. That's where we're looking for the growth. And by doing that, we're providing more opportunities and more leads and more value to our agents. I think at the end of the day, that's what we're looking at, right? What value can we at Atria and Leading Edge provide to our agents and let them continue to sell, and while we'll grow together.
Perfect.
All right, yeah. I think, shall we pop this open and celebrate?
Sure. We're going to drink it out of the bottle because we don't have another glass. We're going to have to...
open it first.
Okay.
All right, but I think this is a nice relationship to start off. All right. All right. So guys, ready? Who's cleaning up after?
Just don't break the window.
Don't break his mic.
Whoa!
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Shall we?
Yeah.
You got to drink one of your reds there, Stephen. Now, this is how you get rosé champagne, is you take a little bit of red wine in the bottom of the glass. There we go. Wow. Guys, a toast to an amazing partnership, to growth and prosperity.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.